What's going on, guys? Just getting a sip of my tea here. I want to make this video about Sasquatch Nutrition. I was just on one of the Bigfoot Dogman Research Project videos and DDoS's videos, one of those live feeds, and they were talking about Sasquatch's diet and everything, and it really got me thinking pretty hard about this subject. And I brought up a couple points, and DDoS actually kind of gave me some credit there and called my name out and said, you know, I made a good point here. So I thought, you know, it's worth making a video about. So this is about Sasquatch Nutrition. And the first thing I'll bring up is that aside from like the obvious dumpster diving that the Sasquatch may do, you know, they've probably got a fairly organic diet if you consider they're eating, you know, deer and elk and such and things in the forest and birds and raccoons and chipmunks, whatever they're eating, plants, you know, whatever vegetables they can scavenge from gardens. But I would, you know, presume that they're not getting a lot of chemical bombardment. And I'm sure people aren't that familiar with a lot of this stuff that I'm going to mention because it's kind of some hidden knowledge. It's kind of reaching a tipping point actually now in society where people are actually asking for organic, and you have a lot of these companies, actually major food companies, that are quite frankly have been feeding you garbage and shit for the past however many years of your life, honestly, since some of this crap has been coming out, the GMOs and stuff, and now they're offering organic alternatives because they see the market wanting organic and non-GMO is this terminology. But there are studies where the mice that are eating GMO food are actually like 20 or 25% smaller in size than the counterparts eating the regular, you know, organic food or non-genetically modified food is actually the study. The GMO food makes you 20% or 25% smaller. It doesn't matter that your food's organic, it matters that it's not GMO, and that's only in certain cases of crops that are genetically modified. And even that term genetically modified, I'm sorry I have to go into all this, but it's important for people to understand. The term genetically modified is actually a scientific thing done in a laboratory. It's not this they try to hide it as though the hybridization of wheat has anything to do with genetic modification. How they actually Monsanto discovered this, they were a chemical company. They were you know, they had defoliant for the Vietnam War. They were a military contractor is what I'm trying to say. And so they, over the years, had all these patents on products and whatever it was, and they were just making out for making money. They discovered a bacteria in a field of Roundup sprayed crops, and this bacteria was resistant to the Roundup. And so they said, oh, we can utilize this. And they actually take that bacteria, infused it somehow with the DNA of the plant, and now they feed it to you. And not only does that bacteria enter your body and infect your intestinal tract and become part of your body, and I'm sure everybody watching this has eaten GMOs and has this potentially in their body, because from what I understand, according to Jeffrey Smith, you can't get rid of this out of your body. It becomes part of you. Actually, so I was saying that bacteria, it not only becomes part of you, but that bacteria that's in the DNA of the plant enables that plant to actually be sprayed, doused, drenched in Roundup, bombarded in this chemical that's actually probably killing the bees too, for all that we know is what I'm hearing. So some of this information that the Roundup is killing the bees and the bee population, but it is pesticides in general and all the environmental toxins that we're creating in this land that we live. But so these plants, they stand up to this Roundup bombardment, and then what you do is you eat this plant. You eat this plant that's been doused in chemicals. Now you got to realize certain crops are bad for you, okay, because they're being sprayed directly with a pesticide and you're eating it, versus a crop where it's sprayed with pesticide but you remove the outer casing of the fruit or vegetable and eat the innards, so you're not ingesting as much of the potential pesticide, even though it could have been ingested in the plant, sucked up into the plant, could be in the cells of the plant that you're consuming somehow. Now you have the genetic modification of the plant, and then you have just the fact that the plant has been treated with chemical pesticides in general, versus organic gardening, which doesn't involve any chemical pesticides at all, which is going to be what Sasquatch would get in nature when he's eating things like that, and that's what you should be eating and buying for yourself. So right there's some major things to just consider, okay, for your own self. Pardon me as I adjust the chair. For your own self, and considering what Sasquatch is eating. I mean, that study with the difference in size goes to show you right there. You shouldn't be eating this genetically modified food. It causes cancer, guys. There's so many studies on it. It causes cancer. Europe didn't want it. They rejected it. But it's good enough for America? I don't think so. Come on, America, wake up. You need to start demanding better. And that's a fact. Just be aware of what you eat, because you become what you eat. But let's move on with this talk here. Now that you understand that, and you understand about organic food, or you have at least this notion, there's that aspect. This is a multifaceted thing that you got to understand. So then the thing that I brought up on DDoS's video here is that, look at an elephant, look at a rhinoceros, look at a horse for that matter. Look how big an animal can get only eating plants. Gigantic. Brontosaurus dinosaur, as far as we know, it was eating plants, right? The thing is giant. I mean, they brought up dinosaurs in this talk that they were talking about, and the atmospheric conditions I know were greater for the dinosaurs to attain greater size. But all that aside, you got to realize, so these things don't even need meat per se. You know, you hear Jeff Meldrum on the TV and all these people, is there enough food out here for them to eat? Come on. Is there going to be enough food on the grocery store for you to eat when the end of the world comes? Because I don't think Sasquatch is going to be too worried. Okay, we're going to be running around like swarming hornets with our nest on fire when the time comes, and those Sasquatch are going to be out there living the life they live, you know, every day. So things could be different. So let's see what else I got here in my notes. I was just talking about, like, this thought I had about bark, like, where I'm starting to do some research. I'm finding these Sasquatch up there 6,000 feet and higher in these pine forests. I mean, Rio's right, man. Nathan Rio. The northeast side is where you get the most dense forest. But you walk in there, it smells delicious. It's like pine needles everywhere. It's darker. It's lush. Things don't dry up with the Colorado sun that we have out here. The little that we still get, even though the chemtrail spraying makes it friggin' cloudy every afternoon, and it rains now every day almost. Finally got some good weather, but May sucked. But it's just amazing what's out there. So I'm just like, I've got some stuff here. I was talking about my wife. I mean, this could have been the one that got shaken. Pycnogenol. This is maritime pine bark from France. I mean, it's pine tree bark. But what this does for you, it's an antioxidant. It opens up your veins. It helps your blood flow. You know, just this stuff that they can be eating. I mentioned yohimbe. It's this African bark that actually increases your blood flow, or your blood, holding potential in your muscles, in certain parts of your body that are flexing, that are moving, that are growing. You know, this stuff can change your physiology. It can help you, honestly. So what are Sasquatch eating out there? There's all the herbs. There's all these things we don't even know what they're nibbling on. We don't know what potential they have. I've got a whole array of vitamins here. Milk thistle. I tell you what, when I'm up Sasquatching, I'm walking through so much thistle. I see this flower right here all the time. I'm not even joking. So this cleanses your liver, as if Sasquatch needed his liver cleansed. I don't think he has the chemical bombardment that we're facing. You've got right here lutein. This comes from a marigold. There's zeaxanthin in here, and I forget where that is derived from. Oh, the zeaxanthin's from the marigold. The lutein is also from the marigold. But so these two things from a flower. I just planted marigolds outside here. Beautiful little flower. They keep the rabbits away. Right here, Garden of Life brand. Good brand. Mushrooms. What does it say on here? Immune system food. When I'm out Sasquatching, I got pictures of huge clumps of wood mushrooms growing out there. Which ones are good? I don't know. But I'm sure the Sasquatch does. And I'm sure that their immune system is like top notch, you know? And a lot of these things that we find, all this supplementation. Here's a whole food variety. This is E and selenium. I've got a magnesium variety here. This is from New Hampshire, this brand, Mega Food. I'm from New Hampshire originally. This stuff is a whole food vitamin. So the magnesium right here, it's made from spinach. It's 100% spinach. You're not going to just like take some chemical compound and hope your body can assimilate it. This is food for your body. So these things are available to the Sasquatch. That's what I'm saying. We capsulize these things. We make an extract of it, and we put it in a capsule, and we take it. You know, we make a pill of this natural food, and we try to nourish our bodies with it. But the Sasquatch is out there chewing on the root. The Sasquatch is out there picking the leaves off the plant, eating the berries, testing it, seeing how it feels. But it's getting that whole nutrition in there, which actually I'm going to skip ahead and leads me to this point about raw versus cooked food. They're eating all raw food. From what I see, and this brings up another interesting point, which I love about Sasquatch, is that they don't use fire, right? And then I see a Colorado Bigfoot video on I believe it was the 7th, the other day, 7th of June, 2017, and he's talking about he's noticing all these fire areas in their hangouts. And I'll be honest, when I got up to a really good research area that I have not too far out of town, I was noticing a lot of lightning strikes in these places, and I'm surmising, you know, maybe Sasquatch knows how to put out a fire, and then it leads you to conclude, are they intelligent enough to try to harness fire? Makes you wonder, because the point I wanted to allude to was that I've seen in Colorado Sasquatch and possibly Utah Sasquatch's videos, Colorado Bigfoot, pardon me, great channel, and Utah Sasquatch, that's an awesome channel, but in Colorado Bigfoot's videos, totally cool guy, I've seen some of these places where there's like a fire pit, and it looks like there was a fire in it, like totally legit, and then there was a shelter like built up with tree liens and all this, and you knew it was Sasquatch doing it. But then I'm thinking they must be, because what they do is they use human activity to cover for their activity, if you're unaware. They'll, you know, put human trinkets and items and garbage and trash, whatever it is that they can find out there in an area, in something they built, something they did. So it looks like, oh, maybe humans were out there doing this, or maybe they built this, and it throws people off. But let me get back to anyway, I found this tiny little, looked like a little fire pit the other day, right next to these two deer bones that were like this, like overlapping, like perfect square though. And I'm like, I got pictures of it, I got a video of it, it's pretty cool. But so I come across this little fire pit, there's like all these little twigs. I mean, nobody's gonna start a fire in my mom's neighborhood. If the place burnt down, you know, all the homes are at risk. It's not gonna happen. Nobody's out there building a fire pit. And it looked really small, like a child did it. And the deer legs were like of a yearling. They were very small. They were short, man. They were little guys. But anyway, if you watch my video, you can see. Interesting point though about raw versus cooked food. And you know, I don't think Sasquatch uses fire. There may be, I've heard a one tail actually that they used to, and they don't anymore because of mankind. That is probably some Indian lore, some Indian myth, or there may be some truth to it. I just heard that along my travels somewhere, just some little tidbit of information that is potentially true, some little 1% chance out there. But I don't mean to allude that they're using fire. But I think with the cooking of food, you're going to end up losing some nutrition. You're going to actually, you can lose a lot of nutrition if you overcook food. I know that. So raw food versus cooked food, I think to a point, yeah, we're actually going to lose nutrition. They're going to be getting more nutrition from cooked food. So that's interesting. And I don't know if I mentioned, but like I said, all these herbs out here, Sasquatch is getting them. But, you know, what are they? A lot of these are antibacterial, antiviral, anti-inflammatory. They've got different compounds that are available to us that our body has receptors for, that if we eat it, our body has unique receptors to process that. Just like, you know, you have an opioid receptor. You're going to do some absurd narcotic drug, your body can actually receive it because of the way that your body's set up. So you can only take in what you're set up to be able to receive. So you take this supplementation, you take these herbs, you take this nutrition, and you put it in your body, and it's amazing what it can do for you. So there's berries out there. There's polysaccharides, which are these many armed molecules that you get in certain fruits and berries and unique things that you're eating out there that are going around collecting what free radicals do. Same thing, they connect to things in your bloodstream that are floating around that are kind of like lost, like I mean literally like a friggin' flat tire in the middle of the highway. Like you get things in your bloodstream that slow down the flow. People are getting deep vein thrombosis. You know what I mean? People, your heart's pumping, but the pathways aren't clean. You get plaque buildup, all these things that you can take nattokinase if that's a problem, which is expensive. I don't have it, but I've taken it. But that can help you. You got heart problems. You got heart attack potentials. Everybody's on a friggin' blood thinner anymore. There's natural blood thinners. God, I wish I could think of it. Is it vitamin K? I'm just telling you, there's a lot of information out there. This is one of my hobbies. I study this. I've worked in the industry before. Nutrition is very important. So, and it's actually vital information. I've helped people dodge chemotherapy by like 5 parts per million and shrunk their tumor in half, literally by, I think, what we did for them in just a few months before they had to go and, do what they did. They still got their breasts removed, which I thought was ridiculous at their son's request. But it's the fear of cancer. But it's the chemo that kills you, not the surgery that removes your breast. Just be aware of that. But women shouldn't be getting a mastectomy because there's options. I don't care what your doctor says. There's options. Go out there, find the right people. Pray to God you find them, and you're going to find them. Look for them hard enough, you're going to find them. Just like the Sasquatch, right? Here, let me just, sorry, I had a little thought there. Let me just go on with this. So, and potentially they're eating a whole plant. You know what I mean? We're eating like just same thing with a steak. We're eating select cuts of meat and eating this and that. They might, from what we see, right, kill a deer and eat the liver. Why would they eat an organ instead of a nice filet mignon backstrap of the animal? Why is that? Why don't they want to just cut out the ribeye and start gnawing? Because potentially they do, but the organs actually are the highest caloric value. You get the most calories from eating the organs, which I don't like to do at all. I just can't do it. But some people will just do that. My stepdad will see the gizzards in a turkey and he's like, "Oh, save me the Pope's nose." And I'm just like, holy shit, how can you eat that? But you grew up doing it. Some of these guys are eating, some of these older black guys, you hear what they're eating, chitlins, and I'm like, yeah, what is that? And then I'm like, oh my fucking God, it's like chopped up fucking asshole intestines. I'm like, you're eating this shit? Literally shit? Okay, I'm sure you got some good breath. Hey, that's like how you were raised, you know what I mean? So whatever your delicacy is, maybe it's making you strong. Like I said, some of these old timers, why do you think they're still kicking when everybody else ain't living? They're still eating their fucking bowl of shit, eating their chitlins at 93 years old, and these other guys are dropping off at 54 years old, So go figure. But that's kind of a funny thing. What else we got? I was thinking about man, you're eating like a whole animal. Let's say you swallow a whole fish. Pardon me for that itch. Let's say you eat a whole fish, you're getting all these omega-3s. Maybe it's bad you're eating a brain. Who knows what the Sasquatch is eating off of a fish. But you're getting fresh omega-3s, 6, 9s from this thing. You're getting all this fresh nutrition raw. It's like sushi. Cartilage. A huge one right here, cartilage. I would say that's a big problem with the American diet right now. We don't get the cartilage that we used to get. You know what you need to do? Not even kidding. You go get a nice cut of meat like this. You put it in the pressure cooker. You boil it down with some tomato sauce, a little bit of water, spices. Man, you eat that. You eat that meat with that good broth over some rice, and dude, you're gonna start feeling good. Your shoulders are gonna start healing if they hurt. Your neck's gonna stop cracking if it's always out. Your back's gonna realign. And I'm speaking from experience. I've had a spinal injury. I've gone through a lot of stuff, and I've been eating really healthily since I learned about nutrition, and my body is rebuilding itself, and I feel great. But it takes time, it takes knowledge. But what happens is you eat this cartilage, it's called bone broth. You can take a chicken carcass, boil it down in some water with chicken broth, make a chicken soup. If you buy a rotisserie chicken or something, you pick all the meat off of it that you can, that you want to, boil the carcass down, pick the rest of the meat off it, take the bones out, strain it, but then you get the liquid that has the cartilage of the animal that's been boiled in there. And you can do the same with beef or any kind of bone, but the marrow, you want a nice live bone in there. But even something that's been cooked is still going to have some nutrition in it. But these are the, raw is best, essentially. But you do what you got to do. But when you get this in your diet, then you start feeling better. But the Sasquatch, they're living this. They're eating this cartilage. They're consuming this whole animal. They're not lacking in these areas. But this makes your arm strong, your joint strong. I mean, these things are flexing. They're gripping. They're working out extremely hard. If they're swinging from trees, climbing trees, that's tough work. So they need that nutrition. They're being built strong every day. You know what I mean? They're bodybuilders from day one. You got to realize that. So at least most of them, right? I think it depends. I don't want to get off track, but there's going to be rogue males out there. There's going to be different societies. There's going to be ones that go off by their own and break away from the clan and try to, establish their own dominance in their own little area, I imagine. Or who knows how it works, but that's why you find, and even the different species. That's why you find all these different ones, different sizes, different facial descriptions, a lot of things. But aside from that, what else I got here? This kind of goes back to that raw food. Bacterial health, gut health. When you're eating raw food, when you're consuming all this raw nutrition, the health of your body is dependent on your gut health. If you guys have, I don't want to get personal with you, you got diarrhea all the time, you don't have loose stool, you can't have a solid poop, that's bad. You got to address it. You got to take probiotics. You want to take digestive enzymes. Because here's the thing, you're eating soybean oil, you're eating vegetable oil. That shit is killing 75% of the enzymes in your stomach, according to Jeffrey Smith. And that's, that's what he says. But this guy's a researcher about GMOs, and he talks about this stuff. So I feel it. You eat some bullshit food, you're just like, oh, what is going on? And that's what happens, is that you got to replenish. Take some digestive enzymes. Put the good probiotics back in your gut. Eat some yogurt if that's all you got. But you got to do something probiotic-wise to help yourself. Take Silver Soul. If you want to really know some amazing health nutrition information like that could save your life, something that kills anthrax in a petri dish in 2 minutes, kills the bubonic plague that killed a third of Europe. It's right here in this blue bottle behind me. It's called Silver Soul. Look it up, it's patented, and I've got a 4-part upload about it, but you can research it on the internet, and the patent claims are utterly amazing. It's a 45-minute video series, I think, and I've got it broken down into about 4 parts, so if you're at all interested, I suggest you take a look at that. But, I mean, back to the Sasquatch stuff, like I said, bacterial health, gut health, your digestion equals your nutrition. So one other thing I'll mention here is like spring water versus chemical fluoride filled water. You got lead, you got heavy metals in this tap water. That's why I got this jug behind me. I'll buy purified water, which is like, it's been let's see, how do we say? It's been put through like a 7-stage filtration process. It's cleaned down to 0 parts, total dissolved solids. So it's got no chemical drugs, pharmaceuticals in it, which the water supply, if you do any research, you will find the water supply has pharmaceutical drugs that you're consuming. The fluoridation of the water, which they say, oh yeah, go ahead and don't swallow the toothpaste because it's got fluoride ion in there, however, 0.24%, and that's going to go ahead and like make you a retard and make you have black spots on your teeth if you swallow it. I knew a kid that drank a bottle of Scope when he was a kid, and it put brown spots on the inside of both of his front teeth. So you can be over-fluoridated, and it can have some very detrimental effects. And there's pictures of people's teeth that have been over-fluoridated throughout the world, and it's disgusting. Okay, but also in Russia, in times past, before World War II, and possibly after, they used fluoride to dumb down the circus animals. And you got Russian guys in there standing up, smacking a bear right in the face, and it's just standing there, just kind of taking it. And I mean, to control the elephants and such, I'm not joking. The fluoridation actually solidifies your pituitary gland, and it dumbs down your psychic potential. And if you want to connect with the Sasquatch, I highly recommend that you avoid crystallizing your pituitary gland with fluoride. It's not a good idea, okay? It's not a good idea. It's something, you didn't realize you had to avoid it, but once you realize there's a booby trap right there, you might stop doing it. So anyway, these are all interesting things to talk about. What else there? You know, the water. I could go on for days about the water. I'm not kidding. Environmental toxins. It goes along with the pesticides. Look at you. You're out there. You know, you're going for a nice jog. You're going for a walk somewhere. Fucking like, how many thousands of cars drive by you between you and your destination? You know what I mean? I'm always driving with my window down in traffic, just cruising. But I mean, you know, you're breathing that shit in. I'm just letting you know it's not good for you. Look at. Oh, it's funny, I got the word China written down. I wasn't even referring to China in regards to that, but you look at some of these cities in China, holy shit, man, they're dirty. That air is dirty. I remember when I first moved to Denver, where I live in the West, I could get really high where my parents' house was, and I could look right back down to the city, and you could see this haze just forming over the city during rush hour and throughout the day. It was just pretty amazing. I'm just thinking about like China. This is a funny lesson. It's for us and it's about the Sasquatch. The Chinese are poisoning us with a lot of the supplements and a lot of the things that they're claiming are good for you. All these companies are giving you stuff that the Chinese have like put lead in. It's so bad for you. There's a guy, Mike Adams, he's called the Health Ranger. He does independent testing for companies on this product. He sees firsthand there's dirty shit coming into this country, and you need to, even this company Garden of Life that I mentioned as being a good company, they actually got busted by him for having I think it was rice protein or something from rice that had just like this overload of lead, and it probably comes from them using pipes and feeding the rice with water from pipes that are lead, and who knows. But the point is, you're ingesting this stuff, you're eating this stuff, so even we need more rigorous testing in this, because we're being bombarded with the shit, and the Sasquatch is getting none of this. So they've got this supreme health, and we have, you know, what we get. We actually have a tough decision to make. If we want health and pure nutrition and a lack of all this chemical bombardment and bullshit in our toxic environment, we actually have to make a conscious choice. We can't just go through the drive-through and say, oh yeah, give me the non-GMO, the stuff that doesn't give you cancer. Can I get the stuff that doesn't just make you fat, that's full of pesticides? Because when you eat the pesticides, you know what your body does? It says, this is fucking poison, and it encapsulates it in fat. And then it deposits it all over your stomach and all over your legs and your ass, and you look like a big fat fucking American. So do something about it. And check out Mike Adams, a health ranger. Jeffrey Smith, he's a real good one. And then there's a really good documentary called Seeds of Death. Sounds a little dramatic, but Gary Null, I believe, produced it. And I assure you, it's jaw-dropping and eye-opening. Maybe not as jaw-dropping and eye-opening as seeing a Sasquatch, but it'll sure wake you up. So anyway, these are some really cool things I think to think about for Sasquatch nutrition and for your own bodies and what you choose to do with yourself. But just consider the Sasquatch. You know they're out there. You know they're huge. You know they're eating whatever the hell they want. And like I said, they're dumpster diving. They're getting stuff from humans. But what are you gifting them? What are you giving them? You know, you going to give them a Kit Kat and a Snickers and that, or are you going to give them like fruit, or are you going to give them, you know, I mean, I'm not even trying to be judgmental. I gave them a cookie from DIA, a cookie that somebody actually gifted me for messing up my order, gave me a cookie, and I thought, you know, I'm going to pass that on to the Sasquatch, and I'm glad I did. So I gave him that. I gave him a few other things. I gave him chocolate-covered pretzels, but it was dark chocolate, and I got it from the Vitamin Cottage, so good food over there. They don't use genetically modified stuff if they can avoid it. I'm sure it's pretty good. Can't make that claim, but I don't know if they were organic or not. So that's the only way to be sure, is to get organic, or to be aware of the crops that have been genetically modified. And the list continues. I mean, I think potatoes potentially are on there that are new. I think they have an apple coming out. I know papayas. There's summer squash, zucchini, the sugar beet, because everything has sugar in it. They've got soy, because everything has friggin' soy in it, and soy oil. They got canola, so everything is like canola, GMOs. I mean, like 80, 90% of soy and canola have been genetically modified. So that's cancer-causing garbage that you're eating, in like Oreos and Nabisco fucking shit, and whatever's in your cupboard, just fucking throw it away, burn it, and piss on it so nobody can eat it. grab it out the garbage. I'm not even kidding. It's fucking trash. Just be aware, man. The Sasquatch is out there. He's eating whatever he wants, and he's healthy, man. I'm out there, and I'm looking at, like, I watched... Sorry, I was going to try to end this video. I almost took a video of this. I could see an area of this bark just totally stripped on a tree. Big, huge section. See teeth marks on there? But it looks like a squirrel maybe was eating it. But it was eating it from the side of the branch, as though the branch was like this, and it's eating it like that. So I thought, if a squirrel was eating it, wouldn't it eat it down here? And the tooth marks be like this? And then I thought, maybe it's a deer eating it, chewing on the bark. But I mean, you know, they're getting these compounds, they're getting this nutrition that we're not getting. Chlorophyll, it's a huge one. Let me mention one more thing. Look at this right here. This is an algae, spirulina. This is some algae from the ocean that they actually probably harvest and grow. It's actually got protein listed on here, 4%, 2 grams in 6 tablets. So 6 tablets of this, these little tablets, have 6 grams of protein in them. That's pretty damn good. It's really dense protein. You know, they're eating moss. They're eating, who knows what they're eating out there. Dude, those things are healthy, man. They're healthy. They're running out there. Their blood's pumping. Their hearts are working, and they are. Let's just hope they're in a good mood. You know? All right, man. That's enough about Sasquatch for now. Peace.
Please understand that individual results vary, and different people experience different results from these products. No guarantees, expressed or implied, are made. The discussion of various potential benefits to be derived from using these products are not meant as guarantees. Also, this is not a substitute for medical advice. You should consult your physician before beginning any diet, supplementation, or regarding medical symptoms.